Now, Donald Trump has continued his crusade, beefing with the Pope. I can't believe what we're doing here. But I cover all the things. So we're gonna cover all of the things. So Donald Trump made this tweet, and then he made a follow-up tweet. We're gonna go in chronological order here. We're gonna do the 2 Trump tweets and all the responses. Tucker Carlson gets involved. He says, "No, actually, it's actually Islam is the greatest friend of Christianity." Which I'd like. What are we even doing here, guys? Get ready for a wild ride. Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. He's a pope. He talks about fear of the Trump administration, but doesn't even mention the fear of the Catholic Church and all the other Christian organizations had during COVID, when they were arresting priests, ministers, and everyone else for holding church services, even when going outside, being 10 and 20 feet apart. I like his brother Louis much better than I like him because Louis is all MAGA. He gets it, and Leo doesn't. I don't want a pope. What's going on? I don't want a pope who thinks it's okay for Iran to have nuclear weapon. I don't want a pope who thinks it's terrible that America attacked Venezuela, a country that was sending massive amounts of drugs into the United States, and even worse, emptying their prisons, including murderers, drug dealers, and killers into our country. And I don't want a pope who criticizes the president of the United States. Oh my god, dude. Because I am doing exactly what I was elected in a landslide to do, setting record low numbers in crime, creating the greatest stock market in history. Leo should be thankful because, as everyone knows, he was a shocking surprise. He wasn't on any list to be pope. He was only put there by the church because he was an American, and they thought that he would be the best way to deal with President Donald J. Trump. Oh my god, he's hitting you with the deep state pope situation is crazy. If I wasn't in the White House, Leo wouldn't be in the Vatican. Unfortunately, Leo's weak on crime, weak on nuclear weapons, does not sit well with me, nor does the fact that he meets the Obama sympathizers like David Axelrod, a loser from the left, true fact check, true by the way, who is one of those people who wanted churchgoers and clerics to be arrested. Leo should get his act together as pope, use common sense, stop catering to the radical left, and focus on being a great pope, not a politician. It's hurting him very badly, and more importantly, it's hurting the Catholic Church. President Donald J. Trump. This is a wild tweet, bro, beefing with the Pope. Now, I'm going to get into all the nitty-gritty. We're going to break this apart. We're going to break it apart with the responses. But first, let me tell you my opinion, all right? And I don't want to offend anybody, but I am going to be honest, because that's kind of my brand. I think it's silly that Donald Trump made this tweet and that he's beefing with the Pope. I think it's counterproductive. I think it's stupid. I think that Donald Trump was the first time a Catholic majority voted Republican as opposed to Democrat. And I think it was a silly thing to tweet. That said, I think everything he's saying in this tweet is correct, though. Look, man, just because I think, hypothetically, if I were to think that Muslims are all people that worship a pedophile as their prophet, that doesn't mean I'm going to go into the middle of a mosque and start screaming about how they're pedophiles worshiping a prophet. And I think that's kind of the situation I find myself here. I agree with every single word Donald Trump said. I just think that he shouldn't have said it. And we're going to get into it. It's sad, but I think that the Catholic Church kind of was a little bit infiltrated by some rather uncouth radical leftists. And I think it's heartbreaking, because I think the Catholic Church has done like an unbelievable amount of good for the world. Now, full disclaimer, I am not a Catholic, and I do not view the Pope as like an absolute authority on all things. I view him as a holy man that believes in God and is doing his absolute best to help shepherd the people to salvation. But that doesn't make him a prophet. Anyway, the Trump-Pope situation gets even worse somehow. So, Senator Mark Kelly, this is a leftist, says, as a Catholic, I find it abhorrent that the President of the United States should publicly attack the successor of St. Peter. Donald Trump is flailing. This war in Iran has led to the death and injury of American servicemen. Yeah, because, you know, notably, no people ever died in wars in the Bible, right? The first time people have ever died in war. The death of Iranian children. You know, Iran shouldn't have been trying to build nukes, and none of their children would have died. Again, this is like actual retard shit. You know, like if you actually open up the Bible, God commands war many times. He'll attack anyone or anything who tries to protect himself, even the church that millions of Americans find faith and comfort in every day. The American people deserve a president who understands the consequence of his words and takes responsibility for his actions. First of all, the American people elected this guy, so you could stop fucking flailing about this. That's one. And two, and I mean this with absolute certainty, Senator Mark Kelly, you shut the ever-loving fuck up. Every single Catholic on the left that's furious at Trump for criticizing the Pope is part of a party that murders 1 million American babies every single year through abortion. If you actually read the Bible, which is the word of God, unlike the Pope's, you will not find the condoning of gay marriage and of child murder. You will, however, find waging war and obliterating your enemies. So, from my perspective, this is just a gigantic virtue signal. Now, if you have Catholics that are right-wing that criticize Trump, I think that's perfectly valid. But every left-wing Catholic has already completely and utterly prostrated himself in front of the devil. and your words mean literally nothing. Yeah, I'm going hard in this one. I'm definitely gonna piss off some people. All right, anyway, Donald Trump then made this tweet. Donald Trump posted an image portraying himself as Jesus Christ. Now, this is obviously Jesus Christ, even though, he makes it sound like later that he didn't realize it was Jesus Christ. It's obviously what the portrayal is. Whether he knew it or not, I do not know. All right, Trump then deleted the tweet after getting backlash, and then this is what he had to say about it.
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor.
No one thinks you're a doctor shooting holy light from your hands into Jeffrey Epstein's corpse over here to bring him back. No one's thinking of that, my guy. Now, Donald Trump is like an 80-year-old guy, mega giga boomer. He sees AI slop image and he thinks it's cool and posts it. I wouldn't put that past him, but yeah, you didn't need to double down on that one, my guy. I appreciate that he deleted it, but I think this was, again, a really just stupid trigger finger tweeting situation over here. Like, it's just obviously offensive for the sake of being offensive, in my opinion. Now, anyway, if you look at the people upset about this, it's the people you would least expect. So this is one of the greatest tweets of all time. All right, so here we have Sneeko, a Muslim, saying we stand with the Pope and the beautiful religion of Catholicism. According to Islam, Sneeko's a Muslim. According to Islam, you have to execute Catholics because they view Catholics as polytheists. And to quote the Quran, Jews and Christians are the lowest of creatures. Trump is committing the greatest act of blasphemy. It's not blasphemy if you're a Muslim. If you love America, condemn this evil immediately. All right, this is the Sneeko Tequila strategy. All right, so this is a Muslim making believe he cares about Catholicism. Then you have Milo, a homosexual, retweeting it saying the Muslim-Catholic alliance is real. Oh my fucking God. What are we doing here, boy? What are we doing here, boys? All right, we don't need to get into the fact that Muslims have been massacring Christians throughout Africa. Thousands of Christians are murdered by Muslims in Africa every single year. All right, and then it gets retweeted by John Mappin, a Russian propagandist. This is the greatest image of all time. We have John Mappin, a Russian propagandist, retweeting a homosexual talking about the Muslim-Catholic alliance, retweeting a Muslim talking about how Catholicism is beautiful to attack Trump. Holy fucking shit. This is like an actual, hang it in the Louvre. This image is fantastic. All right. Now, of course, this is the, this is crazy. This is the president of Iran. His Holiness, Pope Leo. I condemn the insult to your excellency on behalf of the great nation of Iran. This is like the craziest suck-up moment of all time. Trump makes a tweet saying that the Pope is weak on crime. He got the Iranian president being like, I totally love you, Pope. Pope, you're awesome. And I declare that the desecration of Jesus, the prophet of peace, notice how he doesn't call him, he calls him a prophet of peace. This is actual, according to Christianity, this is blasphemy. All right, because this is saying that he's not divine. All right, and brotherhood is not acceptable to any free person. I wish you glory by Allah. All right, so just to be clear, all right, according to Catholicism, this is more blasphemous than the original Trump tweet calling out the Pope. But just saying, I just thought that was funny. Now, again, this is coming from the guy that shut the internet off in Iran while he massacred tens of thousands of their own people. Just trying to understand our context here. This guy is glazing the Pope right now. So Sneeko says, all right, Muslim, Sharia law would have a president arrested for depicting himself as a god. Lowercase, notice. With demons flying around, by the way. That's why we thank God we have the First Amendment. And you don't believe in it, clearly, so you should probably get deported. All right, and a lot of people have been doing this. This is Sneeko. We all stand with the Pope. Also, Sneeko, Jesus Christ was a Muslim. Crazy levels of grift. All right, here we have Cenk Uygur, Muslim, Turkish guy. I can't get over the blasphemous picture Trump put up comparing himself to Jesus Christ. Either he didn't know that we're not supposed to compare yourself to the Lord and Savior. What are we doing? What are we doing? Cenk Uygur has an entire series on his YouTube channel saying that Christians are all evil fascists. What are we doing, my guy? All right, which is a stunning level of ignorance, or he did it on purpose to disrespect and mock people. Wow. Right, this is a Muslim making believe he cares after he shits on Christians every single day on his YouTube channel, and I'm not exaggerating. He has like an entire series of shitting on Christians. That's like the whole series on the Young Turks YouTube channel, saying that Christians are all fascists and they're horrible people. This is literally his thing. And How dare you compare yourself to the Lord and Savior? Like, this outrage is like actual bullshit, man. Like, what are we doing here? Right? Under Sharia law, Trump would have been arrested for posting that picture. There's freedom of speech, my guy. What are we doing? All right? It's insane. So it's like, wow, Trump sure is a Christian, showing a picture of Trump with a yarmulke. He's a secret Jew, right? Meanwhile, the Pope also, goes to the also goes to the Western Wall. All the popes do that too. So, anyway, it's just, again, the discourse is just unbelievable, bro. So then you got people being like, I guess it's time to pick a side. The Pope or the President of the United States. Man, this is brutal, bro. I feel like Jews and Catholics both end up getting hit with the dual loyalty allegations all the time. Oh, you're a Jew? You have dual loyalty to Israel. Oh, you're a Catholic? You have dual loyalty to the church. You're not America first. And shit like this really doesn't help. And what does this even mean? Like, I never viewed Trump as getting elected to be some sort of spiritual leader. I don't think Trump is a very religious man at all. Dude, I was talking to my aunt. I got my aunt to vote for Trump, all right? Because obviously you saw what happened under Biden, and my aunt was like, all right, I'm going to go for Trump, but I hate him, and I don't want to vote for him because he's mean to women, the classic situation. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not marrying the guy. This guy's going to stop rapists from coming into the country. This is the guy that's nice to women. I would rather a guy who says grab him by the pussy and prevents rapists from coming into the country than a guy who's all politically correct and then lets rapists come into the country. Like, we are reaching bottom of the barrel, low IQ conversations these days. Groypers. The Jews are pushing for open borders. The Pope, open the borders. The Groypers. Anyone who criticizes the Pope is a Jew. All right, it's pretty insane. So now we have to get into the fact that Trump is actually completely correct about the Pope. And I don't want to be rude here, but I do think that the Pope is an operative somehow. I do think that there was, unfortunately and tragically, an infiltration in the Catholic Church. Like, for example, Catholics' majority have been voting for Democrats. Until Trump, every single election had majority of Catholics voting for Democrats. The murder babies, trans children, gay marriage guys. And it's really heartbreaking, honestly. I know this is going to sound a little bit sermon-y, and that's really not my job here, but one of the most incredible parts of the Bible is when Moses goes up on Mount Sinai and God gives the 10 Commandments to all of the 600,000 plus Israelites in the desert, gives and reveals himself to all of them at the same time. My perspective is we were all given the word of God, and we were all given free will to decide how to follow it or not follow it. Just like in everything, there are good priests and good rabbis and bad rabbis and good imams probably and bad imams. Human beings are inherently not infallible. And dear Catholic bishops, you've spent more time publicly outraged about Trump's Truth Social posts than Iran-backed Islamists slaughtering Christians. And I feel like that is yeah, man. Just what are we doing? What are we doing, guys? Where was the Pope when Trump was defending Christians in Nigeria? The Pope had spoken about Christians' persecution in Nigeria. Oh, that's good. He made a tweet about it. That is really good, actually. Are you aware, though, that Donald Trump literally bombed the Nigerian Muslims that have been massacring Christians there? And it's really not just Nigeria. If you actually look around at Middle Eastern populations, every single Christian population in the Middle East has decreased drastically. Egypt used to be a Christian majority country. So did Lebanon. All right. So did Lebanon. So did Jordan. So did Kuwait and Bahrain. All right. So did Sudan. So did the Congo. These all used to be Christian majority countries, and now they're not. Syria has slaughters of Christians every day, and we're upset about Trump's Truth Social posts. Like again, are we being serious here for a second? Pope Leo meets with James Martin, calls for the welcoming of LGBTQ Catholics days after radical trans attack on U.S. Catholic school. What are we doing here, man? What are we doing? I'm supposed to expect this guy say that this guy is the emissary of God when he directly contradicts God. Like, are we being serious for a second, man? So this is the Pope calling for open borders. God's love break down walls. Open borders dispels hatred, the Pope says. During Pentecost Mass, Pope Leo prayed that the Holy Spirit would open the hearts to make room for God's love. Where is the love? There is no room for prejudice, for security zones separating us from our neighbors, for the exclusionary mindset that tragically we now see emerging in political nationalisms, he says. Right, so the Trump wants open borders. Well, what are we doing, man? Well, are we being serious? Open borders just causes infinite child rape. That was the result of open borders in England. Countries need borders. In fact, in Deuteronomy, it says explicitly that, if you welcome your neighbor into your country and you give them power, they'll eventually take power over you and take your country from you. Like, what are we doing here? Especially because you are aware that the Vatican has walls, right? If you will get deported from the Vatican immediately if you do something. Pope Leo denounces extremely disrespectful treatment of immigrants in the U.S. So are we not allowed to criticize the popes political stances if the Pope is actually talking about politics. Like, if the Pope wasn't talking about politics, I would totally get the idea of don't get him involved. But if he isn't making these statements, are we not allowed to talk about them in return? Like, if he didn't want to get dragged into politics, he shouldn't have gotten political. I just feel like he's, you know, one of the most important people on the planet, and we should be having discussions about what the guy says. Even though I don't think Trump should have done it, I do think Trump was right. We got a woke Pope, man. We do. This dude blessed a giant block of ice for global warming purposes. Right, Cardinal Prevost, that's who became Pope Leo, was promoted by Pope Francis, given a prominent Vatican position during his papacy. We found Prevost's Twitter feed last year where he was thrashing Trump and Vance, as well as border enforcement and praising George Floyd. You know, and it's like, what am I supposed to do here, man? What am I supposed to do here? All right, so this was Pope Leo's first tweet after Trump called him out. Communion between Christians and Muslims takes shape under the mantle of Our Lady in Africa. Here in Algeria, the maternal love of Lala Maryam gathers everyone as children within our rich diversity, in our shared aspiration for dignity, love, justice, and peace. In a world where division and war sow pain and death, living in unity and peace is a compelling sign. That's great! But you do realize Muslims are massacring Christians everywhere right now. Like, just being honest. Like, it's nice. He doesn't want war, because he doesn't want, let's say, Israel to bomb Hezbollah, which Israel is doing right now. You realize Hezbollah's been massacring Christians in Lebanon. 10 years ago, Lebanon was 60% Christian, and right now, Lebanon is 30% Christian. How did that happen? So, you know, Donald Trump makes a tweet about him, and his epic response, and this is great, his epic response is, I'm so glad that we have lovely friendship between Christians and Muslims. Peace is beautiful. So this guy says, legal penalty for Christians proselytizing in Algeria at Grok. All right, so let's go. Under Algerian ordinance, proselytizing by non-Muslims, inciting, seducing, or using materials to convert or shake the faith of a Muslim is a crime. 2 to 5 years imprisonment, cost of 500,000 to 1 million Algerian dinars. All right, pretty great stuff for religious leaders, etc., yada, yada. So essentially, this dude's in Algeria talking about the Muslim-Christian communion, which is awesome and stuff. And meanwhile, if you literally try to proselytize in Algeria, you go to jail for 5 years for trying to shake the faith of a Muslim. Like, this dude is nicer to Muslims that currently engage in the massacre of Christians than he is to Protestants. This is actually shocking, man. All right, now, just to understand the level of collapse we're dealing with, the Pope announced a massive, gigantic, great news.
For the first time in its history, the Vatican has set aside a prayer room for Muslims inside the Apostolic Library, a move that has sparked wide debate across media and social platforms. Deputy Prefect of the Vatican Apostolic Library, Don Giacomo Cardinali, said the decision came after several visiting Muslim researchers requested a small space with a prayer rug to perform their prayers.
Yeah, so now there's a special Muslim prayer space inside the Vatican. Like, understand what's going. This is conquest, and y'all are just letting it happen, bro. What are we doing? The Pope is weak on crime is the funniest thing he's ever said. Well, you want to see something even funnier? You're laughing. Did you know that there are 1.33 crimes per capita in Vatican City? just for those of you unaware. All right, I know it's a small population, you know. So obviously that's it's a funny statistic, but you know that per capita is 1.33 crimes per capita. That's fucking insane, dude. Holy shit. Meanwhile, right after this takes place, in a rare joint interview, 3 of America's most influential cardinals who actively serve Archiandian, I don't know, man. I don't speak Christian. Share what they're hearing in their pews. All right, so that's nice. So they're gonna go out there and they're gonna talk. All right, that's awesome. America kills 1 million unborn human beings every year through abortion, and yet 3 leading cardinals go on 60 Minutes to promote left-wing talking points on Trump, illegal... I'm sorry, I don't want to be rude here, but U.S. military action in Venezuela was awesome. It was fucking incredible. All right, not only did we liberate the Venezuelan people, but we stopped 98% of drugs coming into our country. 98% of drugs coming into our country through sea and air were stopped. But through this situation, we arrested a drug lord, a narco-terrorist. All right, we took 0 casualties. It was objectively amazing. And then, of course, we have this guy just sitting there and criticizing it. Like, I get why Trump is frustrated about this. Meanwhile, America kills 1 million babies a year. 1 million babies a year through abortion. And none of the cardinals had anything to say about that? Like, what are we even doing here? Now, to just show you how overblown the op is actually getting, Pakistan has nukes pointed at India and Israel, but we're supposed to hate them? Yeah, they also have rapists pointed at basically all of Europe, I suppose. All right? So Tucker Carlson produces this fantastic piece today. The people in charge don't want you to know this, but Muslims love Jesus. Whoa, dude. Oh my God. Did Christians have Muslims wrong all along? They had them wrong all along. When the Crusades happened, maybe they should have instead just turned around and spread their buttholes to get raped instead. Wow, I didn't see this one coming. Islam reveres him as a major prophet and the messenger of the Lord, believes he performed miracles, and states he will return to earth to defeat the Antichrist. That's why Donald Trump's painting depicting himself as the son of God offended the president of Iran. No, that's not why. He used it as a little fucking talking point. What are we even talking about? It was an attack on his religion as well as Christianity. You know, Tucker Carlson became like a radical anti-Trumper, pro-Muslim guy. Like, I don't know what we're even doing here, man. Like, let's be serious. Trump's meme, while, yeah, sure, I get it was offensive, in my opinion, isn't nearly as offensive as the mass massacres of Christians throughout the Muslim countries. But apparently Tucker Carlson, who never feels the need to mention the fact that that keeps happening, Tucker Carlson has no issue with that. You see, the people in charge don't want you to know this, but Muslims love Jesus. I mean, yes, they will execute you if you pray to Jesus or think he's God, but they love him. Or at least, you know, they love their own version of him, which is a totally different guy. They don't believe in the crucifixion. They don't believe in the resurrection. But they love Jesus, bro! The people in charge don't want you to know! Unlike Trump, the Muslims are our friends. Yeah, anyway, Pakistan. Muslim man kidnaps 13-year-old Christian girl, holds her captive for 6 months. She was raped, forced to convert to Islam and marry him. When her father reported the abduction, guess what happened? Well, the Sharia court granted custody to the kidnapper! This is Islam. All right, let's just understand what we're dealing with here. Now, this Charlie Kirk tweet from 2016 remains super relevant. Trump versus the Pope, a fight of biblical proportions. Dude, I miss this man so much. He was just a good man, and he was taken from this world so soon in a horrible tragedy. And all of these power-hungry sycophants tried to take his fucking place immediately by putting lies in his mouth. To quote Charlie Kirk, Islam is the sword the left wields to slit the throat of America. And then Tucker Carlson steps in immediately to push this bullshit and dance on his grave. In conclusion, I mean no offense to any of these people. I don't want to offend anybody or anybody's faith here specifically. I mentioned earlier that I view a really close kinship with Christians in general. I do believe that we worship the same God and that our value systems have a 90+% overlap. My stance is when the end times arrive, someone will get vindicated. And I am very open to taking the L if that vindication comes to someone else. I pray God gets us there safely and in peace. But yeah, woke Pope. I called it from the beginning. Disagree with Trump's tweet by the fact that he made it, but I actually agree with everything he said. But woke Pope. Pope Trump drama is insane. Just wild to me that the Pope is watching the rape of Europe in front of him and still saying that actually we shouldn't have borders and we should import the third world. We must protect the indigenous people of Europe. Boo! And this is basically what we're dealing with everywhere right now. So you're not ready for the level of dipshit that we're dealing with right now. The U.S. Border Patrol apprehends 4 British citizens for entering the USA illegally from Canada through a remote area in Maine. Right, they've been identified as Mohammed Sultan Saleh, Ali Mohammed Abi Abdullah, Hamid Mohammed Nagi, and Ibrahim Ayub Khan. These are the 4 British people trying to invade America illegally through Canada. So understand, Trump actually does have the border on lockdown, thank God. And these are British people. These are British people. I'm sure that, you know, your average Englishman woke up, saw the news, and was like, thank God they're in America, not here. I'm like, I'm not lying, bro. I'm not lying. And I think British people, I don't think 3 guys named Mohammed and 1 guy named Ibrahim Ayub. All right, like, wow, bro. Sweden, Muslim classmates gang rape 14-year-old girl in school. Remains enrolled because rapists are victims too, says principal. How do you not start a civil war? How do you not just immediately call for a revolution if this shit happens? This is insane. But borders are good. The Pope says we need to take down our borders, guys.